Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show, the only daily football programme on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow. The main headlines tonight: Richard Gough is optimistic about the future of Rangers. Celtic remain confident they can handle the heat, the Carabao pitch, and of course get through to the next round of the Champions League in the knockout phase. And Aberdeen boss Derek McInnes has been telling everyone that he feels certain the Dons can challenge for honours this season. That's just a few of the headlines in the company of Alan Rough, and of course former Rangers midfielder Alex Rae joins us. Delighted to have your company, Alec. Richard Gough's been having a chat to the assembled members of the press, confident that Rangers are moving in the right direction. Do you share his optimism?
I think it's fair to say, Peter, that there's been progress in terms of the personnel that they've brought in, and there seems to be a wee bit of momentum. You see the fans. I think they're sitting about 37,000 season tickets, and just the style of play in which they're going about their business. They seem to be a lot more dynamic, and they're encouraging signs for everyone connected to the football club. Yeah,
I think a lot of Rangers fans are looking and saying that the style of football, the shorter game. Gordon Smith mentioned it yesterday on the programme, Roughie. This shorter game where they're not going more route one.
Well, again, that goes back to personnel. They've obviously got a couple of centre backs in who can split, and they were playing Burnley in a pre-season friendly. I was over in Portugal, and I was contacted one or two friends in the media, and was just asking what kind of style of play they were talking. They were going to play expansive, both centre backs splitting, full backs up high, midfielders coming and try and play. And but they really don't have a centre forward that they could go route win anyway. Wycombe's probably about the tallest out of all the strikers, and he ain't much taller than me. He's obviously a bit more physical than myself, but so they have to play that style of football. They've obviously introduced Mackay and Templeton and that back into the equation, and they've obviously got a bit more legs and pace within the team.
Yeah, if he's more physical than you, I'll be absolutely gobsmacked.
Peter, I've known Wycombe for a few years now, and the thing that struck me was I met him in Hong Kong about 4 years ago when he was at Leicester. And he was bowling about with a little Rabsy Nisbet vest, the Popeye Amsterdam, and I ended up murdering him. I verbally assaulted him, and it turns out he's a big Sunderland fan, and he obviously supported the club in times when I was there. So I got a good wee relationship with the boy, but he is obviously really, I don't know if you've seen him, he's of the mould and kind of stature like a Wayne Rooney. He's really thickly set. So. But no, he puts a shift in as well, Wycombe.
Yeah. Roughie, as far as Rangers are concerned, there might be the battle on the pitch to try and get the right results. But I still think, as Richard Gough has highlighted, there's a lot of work to go on behind the scenes before they eventually get themselves into a financial position where they feel comfortable, they can build, they can get into the top flight, they can challenge. That could be, as Richard Gough says, a game of patience.
Yeah, I think it has to be, but as Alec will tell you, the first thing you've got to do is get it right in the park. If you're winning games, everything off the park is a lot easier. There are things going on behind the scenes. We can see there are still some movements going on there with the board and everything, and I think the supporters will be encouraged the way that it's going. I think they're really looking, they don't want this sort of a really rash, approach to trying to get them back on the rails. Take it very gently, but as I said there, the football and winning games and entertaining is what the fans will be looking for.
Yeah, and of course, I think sensibly, Alec, Rangers haven't discarded all of the experienced players that were there last year. There are a few that they've managed to keep. I mean, it's something like, I think I was looking the other day, there's something like 20 Rangers players have gone out the door. And obviously he's brought in his 7 new signings along the way. So Mark Warburton has slowly but surely changed it, but not discarded some players that he thinks can still do a job for him.
Yeah, well, you look at Kerry Miller, he's just come off the bench and he's looking sharp. He scored a couple of important goals. Lee Wallace, and the one thing that strikes me about Mark Warburton is he talks a lot about experienced players and how they can help the younger guys, and it looks as if they're going to try and get down this youthful team. It's not going to be a team of old guard, and with that balance, that combination, it's important that you've got good guys who have got a lot of years under the belt to guide these boys through. And I think one of the things that have kind of gone missing over recent years from Rangers is the traditions of the club and the standards. They've obviously slipped from the upstairs as well. So I think it's important to get back to the times, and I think that's one of the things that some of these senior players will bring to the table.
Of the signings that you've witnessed from Mark Warburton, is there anyone that you think could eventually shine as a standout? I mentioned on last night's programme, I mean, Tavernier can score a free kick, scores at the weekend as well against Peterhead.
Well, the thing is, Tavs was at MK Dons when I was there, so he came in loan from Newcastle. And I was just mentioning when I was in Hong Kong, he captained the team for Newcastle, who went on to win the Hong Kong tournament. So Tavernier's one that I've known for a few years as well. He suits into the philosophy in terms of what Rangers are trying to do. They're dynamic, the full-backs getting forward, and he just keeps bombing up and down that flank. And so he's obviously a big bonus. And I think in the modern game, if you can get both full-backs getting forward, then it's a big bonus. It's part of the game now.
It's amazing how it's changed, because last year all we were talking about was Lee Wallace bombing forward. Now all we're talking about is the other boy, which is taking the pressure off of Lee Wallace. Both of them are doing it, and obviously the other boy's coming up with goals as well. Yeah,
I've just got to try and come up with somebody, Roughie, that Alex hasn't hung about with in the last 2 or 3 years. Every name I mention, he's like, yeah, I met him in Hong Kong, and I met this guy here. I played with him there. This is incredible.
Well, he was the so factual, Peter. It's not as if I'm making it up.
No, I'm happy.
No, the good thing about it is, Peter, when you get me on the show, then you get a wee bit up to date info. It's no guys from 300 years ago. You know what I mean, Roughie? Oh, sorry, Roughie.
I'll just write that down for Gordon. Brilliant line. No, I mean, from that point of view, they're clearly alongside Hibs the favourites. I mean, from you've had a look at it, you've watched the changes. Do you feel as if they're the out-and-out favourites, or do you think, 6-2 result aside, that Hibs will be the ones to catch? I mean, how do you see that championship?
I think it's very early doors. I think the result kind of masked. I don't think it was a 6-2 first and foremost. When I looked at the game for the first 30-35 minutes, I thought Hibs were impressive. They just didn't have a cutting edge on the day. And obviously goals change games. So Hibs would have felt as if when they got in 2-1 down at half time, they're going, my God. And then in the manner in which they lost the goals, the keeper was poor on the day. Yeah. And so it's important not to get carried away. I said at the weekend I felt as if Rangers was a work in progress, but without a shadow of a doubt, it's between Hibs and Rangers for the title.
Yeah. How many do you think Rangers still need?
Well, they probably need another 2 or 3 players. I think in terms of strength and depth, I think it's important to go into these first 4 months. I'm led to believe that they're working on 1 or 2 deals at the moment, and they'll be trying to bring a couple more in, because if they get injuries to key players, then they have to revert back to younger boys. So, I think maybe 2 or 3 more, and then his business will be done.
We'll have to wait and see who Alec bumps into. Before we see him, who these players are.
Absolutely. If they bump into Rae, they've got a 2 or 3 year deal. It's as simple as that.
Well, it's about knowing your players, Peter.
Yeah. And listen, you cover the miles to actually see some of these players. Of course, Hibs will look at the weekend. They've got the win as well. They're still digging in, Roughie, trying to hold on to Scott Allen. It's been refreshing this week. It's the first 2 or 3 days without Scott Allen in the back pages. I want away, I want to transfer, and all the hullabaloo that's followed him.
Yeah, and it'll be good for the player as well. It's a lot to go through, being in the limelight all the time, and not wondering how your own fans are going to react to everything that's happened. And he'll do his talking on the park, there's no doubt about that. But I think there's still things to happen with that one. But I'm sure Alan Stubbs will be hoping it's not until January.
Yeah. Just out of curiosity, lads, I want to get your thoughts on, it's crucial that obviously Mark Warburton would like to get a good start in the Championship Friday against St Mirren. Are there managers that will be looking too closely to see how they kick off? I mean, everybody's talking about Gary Locke won't be happy with the way he's started with that hammering from Dundee, but are there managers that you think have got a bit to prove this season, Roughie?
I think every manager, has got something to prove. There's no doubt about it. Nobody wants to start the season at the end of a 4-0 defeat at home. I wouldn't like to think there's any owners out there are going to jump in very, very quickly after 5 or 6 games and sack somebody. I think when the season starts, there's so many things can happen throughout the season, and not to judge the managers too early. Yeah,
I mean, the transfer window might not be as hectic as it is down south, Alec, but nevertheless there's still a wee bit of ducking and diving now. There's still some money in the game that people can make a crucial signing.
I think there'll still be a lot of movement still, Peter. I think people are still looking about. I think the Premier League Once they name their 25-man squad, then other teams will come in and try and get loan deals, which will free up other players to maybe come to the SPFL. And so you can take all these things into consideration. But I think managers are still saying that, we're still a bit short. I think the majority are saying that. And what they're doing is they're basically putting the board under a little bit more pressure to try and get one or two more bodies in. Because once the window closes, it becomes more difficult. If you get one or two injuries, and it's interesting, what Alan's saying about. It's usually about 8 or 9 games before the old chairman start panicking and want to make a change. Absolutely.
OK, in the next part of the programme, we'll talk about Hearts rejecting 2 bids for one of the players. We'll also be looking at Celtic in that tight pitch. It's going to be really hot, 40 degrees in there. And we'll also be discussing Aberdeen. Can they challenge Celtic for honours this season? It's all coming up next. Welcome back to Peter and Roughie's Football Show. Former Rangers midfielder Alex Rae is our guest in the studio. Alan Rough alongside me, and as ever, Monday to Friday, if you can join us, 6:30 on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow. So, tomorrow Celtic will be in 40-degree heat. It's a difficult pitch, and they have a 1-goal advantage over Qarabağ. Is it going to be enough, Roughie?
I think it'll be tight, Peter. I think the first 15-20 minutes will be very crucial as far as Celtic's concerned. I think Celtic will think if they get a goal, that'll be enough for them. But again, things can change very quickly in a game of football, but the sooner they get that goal, the better for them.
Ronnie Dyler's had a full season, Alec. It's not as if he's had to tinker with a squad that he inherited. He's now got people buying into his ethos, and I think they look a more settled unit.
They're very much, they play the 4-2-3-1, Peter, and they've got the personnel he's comfortable with, and again, he likes to get his full-backs forward. He's got the 2 sitting midfielders, the 3 boys who like to go and support either Chief J or Griffiths, and he seems to be doing relatively well for him. It'll be a difficult game over there, Peter. I had some friends at the game last week.
Oh, how many mates have you? Honestly, you've got people all over the place.
There's only one Celtic fan I know. You know Faz, didn't you? I didn't want to blow his cover. But no, Faz was at the game, and he says they were very impressive. He says he kept the ball really well, but I wasn't throwing any names in there, but you've just flushed my hand out.
I mean, there's not. How many guys, Roughie, can you call on who have gone to Azerbaijan for the heat just to check it all out? But I mean, it's a good point you make, though. I mean, Ronnie Dyler has pointed out that his players are now accustomed to the fitness regime as well.
Yeah.
I would offer to you that you're one of those guys who prided yourself on your fitness. So how much easier is it to handle 40-degree heat?
Well, the thing is, Peter, it's very early in the season. What are they, 2 games down the line, 2 or 3 games down the line? They've obviously done their pre-season friendly games, but I think 40-degree heat can have a factor. There's no doubt about it, and you see it time after time. Maybe an hour after, people start labouring, and it actually affects people differently. Some people kind of manage to kind of cope with it, and others start to alter a little bit. So it will most certainly be a factor, and I think one of the key things is keeping the ball once they get possession.
Yeah.
And obviously the away goal would be crucial for Celtic in the respect to going through.
Yeah, it'd be massive for them, Roughie. One thing that I do think that they have managed to add to their game is the fact that when they are playing teams who want to have a go at them, they're quick on the counter-attack now, and I think that's key in European football.
Yeah, I think you just notice it in any of the big teams, that's it, if you've got the pace in your team, it can hurt people very, very quickly, and you can get up the park in, 2 or 3 seconds. It's very important. I think Celtic will be very wary of what happened last year in this round. They lost or shared a lot of goals, against Legia. They'll not want that to happen again. I think it'll be a lot tighter this time. I think they'll be a wee bit more aware of what happened last year. And I think you'll see a different kind of style of football.
I think. Sorry, Peter. I was just going to say. I think one of the key factors for Celtic is set plays. At corners and things. They're a big, powerful team. And when I was watching the Icelandic game, the advantage in height was crucial, and they obviously got the goal from a set play last week. So that may well be a factor as well.
It was funny that because obviously when Celtic were doing particularly well in the Champions League, when they had the Bobo Baldis and the Mialbis, and again they had set pieces that were very strong in that area.
Does the pitch matter, Alec? I mean, at the end of the day, I always go back to Roughie's days when he was in his absolute peak at 13 stone 7. You look at, I used to watch FA Cup matches, Ronnie Radford. It was like a cow field and an FA Cup tie. Now we're talking about the heat. Some of the pitch might be burnt.
No, I don't think it is. It's funny, but I was with my father this morning and he says, when are we getting the annual game against the Bank Boys up at the Red Ash pitch, and you played there last year? So I don't think it's a factor really, because even though it's Scots, it should be relatively, still be grass on the pitch and that. It's not as if it's just a mud heap, and the ball will probably run true anyway.
Yeah. Do you fancy them?
Yeah, I do, but I think it's going to be tense. I think it's going to be really tense. As I said earlier there, I think it depends on how the game sort of pans out. Obviously, if they were to get a goal, seemingly their supporters are very vocal as well, and the heat, I think the heat is, as Alec touched on it, if you're chasing the game later on in the game, it depends on what position you're playing. Obviously, there's more guys put more work and effort into it. They're the ones that could struggle, but Celtic boys they're young enough and they look relatively fit.
Yeah, I'm certainly more confident that they can get the away goal and get through into the playoff stages. I mean, it's absolutely vital now, Alec, because we talk about coefficient as far as Scotland is concerned, but you could have a situation here where Aberdeen have got a job to do at Pittodrie later this week against Kairat Almaty. You've got to hope, one or two are still playing into the winter months.
I think in terms of Scottish football, I think it's crucial that these teams can get through, because the thing is, it's time after time in recent years, out with Celtic and Rangers going back a few years, they were kind of qualifying, but the rest were kind of going out in the early stages, and obviously we're slipping down the coefficiency list. So for that point of view, it's important to try and get into the latter stages in the groups and things. So. But as I said, Peter, I think it'll be really difficult for Celtic tomorrow. Yeah.
Do you buy into Aberdeen being able to challenge? Derek McInnes is adamant he's got strength and depth. Now, I've been well impressed with the bench that they've had to call on.
In terms of winning the league?
Well, I mean, listen, as I said to Roughie, I've run into that many Aberdeen fans saying, we're there, we're going to challenge for the league, and I don't buy into it.
Categorically, they cannot win the league. That's my opinion. There was periods last year, particularly in the middle of the season, where Celtic were relatively poor. At the beginning of the season, they managed to pick up some points, and at the tail end, they were but they threw away a lot of points last year as well, Celtic, and particularly if they don't get through in Europe, then they'll have to focus on the treble, which they've put a lot of emphasis on. I think on any given day, I think Aberdeen can beat Celtic in a cup competition, and I think there's one or two other teams who can turn over Celtic as well. Last year's Scottish Cup final was an example of that in terms of getting to the final. But in terms of the league, I just can't see it.
Yeah, have you been impressed with the Dons? Because I mean, last year I mentioned to Roughie the amount of 1-0 victories, whereas previous seasons that might have ended up a draw. They've got that little edge about them. They managed it on Sunday against Dundee United.
Yeah, I think there's a determination. I think Derek McInnes does really well in terms of he seems to get his teams of fighting spirit. They dig in for him. They all fight for the cause. I think Aberdeen probably have got one of their best squads in recent years in terms of the strength and depth. One of the good things about Aberdeen as well is some of the youths that are coming through. Jack and Cammy Smith and guys like that. So there's some good kids coming through there. And again, we spoke about the balance with Rangers. Then you've got guys like Barry Robson and these types of guys. Obviously, Anderson was there last year.
Yeah.
Reynolds is up there. So they've got some really good senior pros sprinkled with some really good youth. It's a good balance.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got it. Celtic 1, Aberdeen 2, Hearts 3. What would you say?
I actually think Hearts will compete with Aberdeen this year for that second place. I said it at the weekend and kind of get blown out of the water a little bit, but I just think with the momentum they have, Hearts, with the backing, because they'll probably get about 17,000 fans as well, which will free up some money, and I just think they'll be able to compete over the course.
Compete? Give me your 1, 2, 3.
Well, that was it. I'd rather be. I think Hearts will compete with Aberdeen. I genuinely believe that for that second spot.
Yeah. Go on.
So I'm not committing.
Don't worry.
No, I just think Hearts will compete with them. It may well be Aberdeen and then Hearts, but I just think there'll be, in a shout of challenge.
I think it's an ideal opportunity this year, because I don't know about you, but I think Inverness and Dundee United aren't going to be the teams they were last year. So if Hearts do come up, they are up, but if they do play the way they were playing at the weekend, they've got a good chance.
Listen, it's all about opinions. I mean, I've already tipped Hamilton for the playoffs, and they've already got back onto me to say we're out to prove you wrong, and full marks to them for that. That it's just an opinion. It's what players will be looking at. I mean, Partick Thistle and Archibald has already mentioned, that he realises, and some of the players realise, that they're being tipped for the drop. But Hearts, I think there's something about them this season. The fans are buying into it. Aberdeen have got about 12,000 season tickets already gone as well. So the Dons fans are certainly buying into it as well. The only thing, and we mentioned it at the top of the programme, there's Hearts have had to knock back 2 bids from Ipswich Town for Jordan McGee. So quite simply, Roughie, it's staving off some of the interest till, you know, the weakened sides.
Yeah, but again, Hearts will use that to their advantage. You know, there's a lot of young players there, and they'll be saying to them, look, if you stay with us, look at the clubs that are interested, and look at the clubs that are coming, and you could get better yourself later on in your career.
Yeah, okay. So 1 or 2 clubs in Europe, briefly?
1.
1.
1 for me also.
Right, okay. Well, it's just an opinion, and that's what this show's all about. It's been great having Alex Rae on the programme. Don't forget also, if you can break the record on the programme of name dropping, Alex has said scouts all over the place. He's run into players that have signed for Rangers and everything. He's got them all over the place. We'll have more of Alex Rae.
I'm actually leaving with them to see just who I bump into.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as we bump into them, they've got a deal on this show. It's incredible. He knows everybody. Great to have Alec on the programme. Do join us if you can on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow, not only in the weekdays at 6:30, but of course Saturday 2 o'clock till 6. Join us. It's the only show in town. From Roughie, from myself, Peter, and from Alex Rae, I want to thank you for watching. Join us again tomorrow night at 6:30.